Yeah. Run it back nation. My people, what is good? It is I, DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys. Never, ever, ever had I ever had an intro. That was not an intro. That was a figment of your imagination. Please hit the like button on this stream. Everybody in here, I got 71 viewers right now. Give me 71 likes. And subscribe to the channel. If you watch these streams and you are not subscribed to the channel, that is fraudulent behavior. And this is the No Fraud Zone. Let's jump right down to business, man. What's going on, everybody? Bentley Cruz, Below 95, Core God, Andrew Kirsch, K. Robinson. I don't know what that says, but shout out to you. I don't know what that says, but shout out to you. B-Ball Paul out the mud, Mr. 89. R Live. Chris DeMayo. My guy Lucci produced. What is up, my people? Let's pop it off right like this before I give you my thoughts. You give me your main thoughts in the chat. You give me your main thoughts in the chat. Maybe this is how we're going to start every episode. You give me your main thoughts on what you watched last night with the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 2. And we'll read your thoughts, and then we'll get into mine. That's that aha, baby. Sparkling water. You know how your boys living these days. My dude, Random Gamer, what's up? Always in the playback stream, always in the YouTube streams. Thanks for the support. All day I've been seeing Nets fans complain about calls that didn't go their way. That is funny. That is funny because I thought this game was officiated completely one-sided. I thought this game was clearly officiated one-sided. I thought Joel Embiid was getting tackled on one side of the ball. I still think Mikal Bridges is getting some kind of superstar treatment. I thought James Harden was getting fouled. I mean, for James Harden to have 2 playoff games in a row with 0 free throws is pretty ridiculous because he's still driving to the rim. He's still getting contact. Joel getting shoved in the back by Nick Claxton. No review for a flagrant. I think the officiating in this game, it was pretty obvious to me what was happening. What was happening was the NBA doesn't want to sweep, and they don't really try to hide it. They hope that this team can steal one game, and they kind of did everything they could to try to influence that. But the Brooklyn Nets are just not good enough. They just got to accept it. Again, this Brooklyn Nets team would not be in the playoffs if it wasn't for the first half of the year, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. This team straight up would not be in the playoffs. This is not a playoff team. This isn't even like a 1 seed versus 8 seed or a usual 2 seed versus 7 seed. This is so they're so outmatched, and they wouldn't even be in the playoffs. Like, it's just ridiculous at this point. It's going to be a sweep. I feel like the NBA tried their best in this game to try to, have the Nets steal one and maybe push it to 5 games, but it didn't work. The Sixers have too much. They have too much. Refs not giving Harden and Embiid calls. Some guy, John, even when we play ugly, we can still beat the Nets. Exactly. We didn't play great. The first half was not good. We shot like 25% in the first quarter or so from 3. We were down by 10 at one point, and I still had no fear whatsoever. Tobias played well. Yes, he did. Tobias has been playing well for 2 games now. Hassan Harden is getting the choke out of his system so that he plays well against Boston. 1,000 IQ move by the beard. Hassan, man. For those who don't know, Hassan is a James Harden super fan. And I mean, Hassan, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even really know what this means. Did you just tell me that James Harden is playing bad on purpose right now so that he can play better versus the Boston Celtics. Come on, bro. It's okay to say James Harden had a bad game. It's okay to say. It's all right to say that, man. When we play Boston, I highly doubt they're going to double Joel, so I'm about to bet the house. DJ, usually they don't avoid the sweep until like games 3 or 4, though, so it's been weird. I guess maybe they're going to try it the whole series. I don't know, man. But yeah, let's get down to business. Let me give you my thoughts here, man. Shout out to everybody tuning in, everybody listening. Thanks for the support of everybody recently, not just recently, for the past couple of years, man. Thanks for getting this YouTube channel to where it is, and let's keep it going, man. The Sixers are up 2-0 on the Brooklyn Nets, and it's going to be a sweep. Again, this Brooklyn Nets team is not a playoff team. The only reason they're here is because of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in the first half of the season. They would not even probably have made it out of the play-in tournament if they played the whole season with this roster. It's Mikal Bridges, it's Cam Johnson, nice young players. They don't have anything else. What else do they have? Seth Curry can get hot if you leave him open. I thought the Sixers were playing great perimeter defense in this game for the most part. Royce O'Neal, Spencer Dinwiddie, they don't have anything really. They don't have anyone that can guard Joel. I know what their strategy is because they don't have anyone to guard Joel. It's not working. They tried the same thing 2 games in a row now. The strategy didn't work the first game. The strategy didn't work the second game. We'll see if they switch it up, but I thought this game was the one game that the Nets might be able to steal. When I was saying they're going to steal a game, when I was saying it's going to go 5, the Sixers are going to have that bad game where they can't make a 3 and nothing's going their way. Joel struggles, maybe has a lot of turnovers. This was their only chance at a game in the whole series. Last night was their only chance at a game in the whole series. 2 reasons. Number 1, we started the game out terribly. We shot 25% from 3 in the first half of this game. We were turning the ball over. It wasn't pretty. We looked disorganized. We just didn't look, and we looked like we lacked energy. It did look like some of those games in the regular season where Doc would come out in the post-game press conference and say, yeah, I just thought we looked flat, thought we just didn't have any energy. When he comments on the team as if he's like not the coach of the team, but it looked like one of those games in the beginning. So the Nets had that going for them. And they also had the officials going for them in this game. They just did. James Harden, his second game in a row with 0 free throws. When he's taking the ball to the rim and getting contact all over the place. Joel Embiid, the no calls on him were embarrassing at points in this game. And really, I don't understand it completely. I understand it's the playoffs. The whistle's not going to be as generous. You're not going to get all the calls you get in the regular season. But come on, man. Come on. 2 plays in this game, Joel Embiid got literally tackled while he's going up for a shot around the rim, and the referees are just, I didn't see that. I didn't see it. Meanwhile, on the other end, they're calling moving screens on screens that are not moving screens. I like how TNT and ESPN don't show replays on certain calls. But yeah, I thought this was the Nets' best opportunity to steal a game. And they couldn't get it done. They're just not good enough. If the Nets couldn't steal this game, they're not winning a game this whole series. If they couldn't steal this one, they're not winning a game this whole series. Let's just hurry up and get it over with. The Sixers have too much star power. Shout out to my dude that called the show the other day, the Nets fan, and said the Nets are going to win in 6 because Mikal Bridges has a chip on his shoulder. Do you realize even Michael Jordan couldn't lead a team to the NBA Finals being the only star player? You realize that? You realize he got swept in the first round 2 years in a row? You realize he needed Scottie Pippen. He needed a good team around him. Nobody can do it solo, especially not Mikal Bridges. Come on, bro. Sixers have too much power. They just got too much power. We played a terrible game. We still won. We were down by 10 points in the first half. I thought Doc Rivers' lineups were good again. I thought they were good again. I thought he did basically the same thing he did in the first game. Both coaches really did the same thing they did in the first game. Jacques Vaughn said it before the game. They said, hey, your strategy against Joel in the first game didn't work. So what are you planning on doing? He said, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it better. And Doc Rivers is, as far as his bench lineup goes, the one that he's been running, what we just talked about yesterday, whose fault is it? He claims James Harden didn't believe in Paul Reed when we all know Doc Rivers was the one that doesn't believe in Paul Reed. But anyway, he seems locked in on that bench lineup of Harden with, McDaniels, Paul Reed, DeAnthony Melton, and George Niang. George Niang, he switches in and out with Daniel House Jr. from time to time. He seems locked in on that bench lineup. I hope he continues it, and I hope he runs it against the Boston Celtics. But that bench lineup is perfect right now. It was perfect in the month of March. It's perfect right now in this first round series. And so I like what Doc Rivers is doing with the lineup. He's not doing anything too crazy. And he's finally accepted that Paul Reed is the guy. So there's hope there moving into the second round. Also, I think Doc Rivers did adjust. Doc Rivers and the staff did adjust to what Jacques Vaughn was doing in the first game. And that was, they knew they were going to do the same thing. And they played Embiid on the perimeter a lot in the first game, but I think even more so this game. Joel Embiid was more on the perimeter, and I think that's what Doc Rivers and the staff is thinking. If they're going to bring these quick doubles and triples and force Joel to get the ball out of his hands, we need him to be more on the perimeter so we can swing the ball around and find the open shooter, because he's probably more prone to turn the ball over if we're stuffing him in the post and he's trying to make a move and they're bringing those doubles and triples from the blind side in the post. When, that's what I saw a lot in the first game. I think Joel had 8 turnovers in the first game, and a lot of times he was on the block and he would go to make a move and they would bring the double or the triple from the blind side and he wouldn't see it yet and he would turn the ball over. I thought in this game, Joel was on the elbow and at the top of the key a lot more, which allows him to face up, see the whole floor, wait for the double team, and just move the ball. And that's why he didn't get a lot of shot attempts off. That's why he had, 6 points in the first half, finished the game with 20. But I think Doc Rivers and the coaching staff's strategy to have Joel at the top of the key so he can see the whole floor was a killer to Jacques Vaughn's strategy, which is, throw the kitchen sink at Joel, make him pass the ball. Which is also why I continue to bet on a Joel Embiid triple-double. Yesterday, I put $18 on a Joel Embiid triple-double. A plus 640 would have paid out $1,236. Joel Embiid finished the game with 20 points, 19 rebounds, and 7 assists. We were 3 assists shy of a $1,200 payout. And Maxey missed one in the corner. DeAnthony Melton missed one in the corner. So, we didn't shoot great from 3. A couple more makes, and I hit that bet. I'm betting it. I'm betting in the next 2 games, too, because I think it's going to happen. Joel Embiid, with Jacques Vaughn's strategy to double and triple as soon as he touches the ball, since we have moved him more to the elbow, the free throw line, and the top of the key, Joel Embiid in yesterday's game was flat out 100% Nikola Jokic. That's what I mean by this. It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy. The Denver Nuggets put Nikola Jokic at the elbow and the top of the key, and they let him pass the ball like a point guard. Now, I'm not saying Joel Embiid is as good of a facilitator or passer of the basketball as Nikola Jokic. But it's not earth-shattering to put a big guy up there and let him see the floor and pass the ball around. It's just not earth-shattering. I know it breaks advanced analytics and makes everybody think, oh my God, this guy's the best basketball player to ever live. Look at these numbers. Look at his VORP and his Raptor and his estimated box plus minus and whatever else you want to do. It's not earth-shattering. It's just a style of basketball that he chooses to play. Joel Embiid in this game and the last one is choosing to play that style of basketball. He knows the double's coming. He knows possibly the triple's coming. And he's choosing to move the ball, which just results in more opportunities for everyone else and more assists. Straight up. They're going to look at the box score in this game. They're going to say Joel Embiid struggled, but 20, 19, and 7 is a Nikola Jokic stat line. Joel Embiid can be Nikola Jokic anytime he wants to be Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic cannot be Joel Embiid anytime he wants to be Joel Embiid. I'll say like Joel Embiid can come close to what Jokic can do facilitating wise by choosing to play that style of basketball from the top of the key. Nikola Jokic cannot even sniff the same stratosphere as Joel Embiid defensively, even if he tried. Now, Joel Embiid got dunked on yesterday. He got yammed on by Cam Johnson. But why did he get dunked on? Because every single defensive possession where he has a chance to try to guard the rim, he's up there attempting to block a shot. And if the haters want to post that highlight of Cam Johnson dunking on Embiid and try to talk something, you might as well put in the same tweet, I don't watch ball, I don't know anything. Do you understand why there's not a highlight of Nikola Jokic getting dunked on like that? Because number one, he can't jump high enough to get dunked on like that. Number two, he's usually not even in that position to get dunked on because he got smoked 3 seconds ago. That's why Joel Embiid's been the MVP for 3 seasons. Because of what he does on the defensive side of the ball, combined with dominating offensively. Nobody else is doing it. Nobody else can do it the way that he does it. He had some ridiculous blocks yesterday also. One of the ones off the top of my head, Cam Johnson drives right. And this is another thing Joel Embiid does amazing that he really doesn't get enough credit for. Cam Johnson drives right, tries to go around him. Joel Embiid is methodical defensively. He's patient. You know, he's incredibly athletic for his size, but he's so smart and he's so patient and he's watching the guy drive and he's waiting. A lot of players jump prematurely and allow the offensive player to reverse the layup like Cam Johnson tried to do. Joel waited for it. He didn't put the layup up the right side. He tried to reverse it and Joel just, come on, son. Smack. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. Another one, Cam Johnson tried to force his way through the defense. Maybe there was a foul. Joel Embiid, the help defender, volleyball spiked it 15 feet in the air, treated the basketball like one of those bouncy balls you get out of a gumball machine. He's too good, too dominant offensively, way too good defensively. Nobody else can do it like he does it. Nobody. There was only 2 times in this game that I saw, well, maybe 3. One, he got called for a travel. But there was only like 2 or 3 times in this game that Joel Embiid wasn't double-teamed. One of them, he was one-on-one with Royce O'Neal at the top of the key. It's literally like nobody's there. He just drove right past him and laid it in. Another one, Nick Claxton under the rim. I think he got called for a travel on that one. Another one on Royce O'Neal in the fourth quarter. There was 2 or 3 times in the fourth quarter where I think Jacques Vaughn said, okay, this ain't working. You know, we're leaving players open too much. Let's go one-on-one with Joel, see what happens. And what happens is you get dominated. If they would stop doubling and tripling, Joel would score 50 on this team. He drives right past Royce O'Neal. Another one, he gets O'Neal one-on-one. O'Neal plays solid defense, faces him up. Joel hits a turnaround, Hakeem Olajuwon 17-foot fadeaway. He's too good. Can't stop him. Now, Jacques Vaughn's strategy against Joel is completely biting them in the ass. Again, but if they didn't do that, he would just score 50. There's no answer. It's a sweep. There's no answer. Tyrese Maxey was huge. And again, I said this is the first time in Joel Embiid's career that he has players on the perimeter that can make a team pay for throwing the kitchen sink at him. And it happened again in game 2. Tyrese Maxey finishes the game with 33 points. Tyrese Maxey's shot form is so square, low, quick, that when he's wide open from 3, it looks like it's a layup. It's automatic. It's a free throw. It's over. Are the Brooklyn Nets going to continue to double and triple Joel Embiid and leave Tyrese Maxey wide open? Are they going to continue to do that? Do they have any idea? I understand the strategy against Embiid, but you're telling me you did a whole scouting report and you said, hey, let's double and triple Embiid. And somebody in the coaching staff said, well, Tyrese Maxey shoots 43% from three-point range on the season, right? And that's with a lot of contested shots. So we're choosing to double and triple Embiid, and we're going to leave Tyrese Maxey wide open in the corner. That's our plan. Jacques Vaughn said, that's our plan. Game 1, PJ Tucker hit a couple of them. Tyrese Maxey hit a couple of them. Game 2, boy, they left Tyrese Maxey wide open so many times in this game. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Tyrese Maxey drops 33 points because the Nets' strategy is to leave him wide open in the corner. He is automatic from the corner. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And an array of shots. He runs a pick and roll, and he ran a pick and roll with George Niang in the third quarter, and the Nets didn't hedge. They didn't rotate. The defender stayed on Niang and let Maxey go all the way to the rim. I don't think the Nets did a scouting report on Tyrese Maxey at all. If you're leaving him wide open in the corner, that tells me you didn't do a scouting report on Tyrese Maxey. If you are staying on George Niang in a pick and roll or a pick and pop and leaving Tyrese Maxey in a one-on-one situation and bringing nobody over to help and guard the rim, you didn't do a scouting report on Tyrese Maxey. So he's shooting the open 3. He's blowing by players in the pick and roll situation because they're not hedging. They're acting like Tyrese Maxey is nobody. They're disrespecting Tyrese Maxey. If they continue to do this, if they do this for 2 more games, Tyrese Maxey might average 30 points in this series. At 22 years old? That's what you're telling me? You guys want to tell me this is Jordan Poole? You guys want to tell me he deserves a Jordan Clarkson contract? Come on, man. Look at the numbers. Tyrese Maxey at 22 years old in the first round of a playoff series is making an NBA team his bitch by disrespecting him, not paying attention to him at all, leaving him wide open here, wide open there, drive to the rim, everything. I gotta go Supermax on Maxey. I gotta go. This is a big 2. Last night was a big 2. James Harden had a terrible game. Tyrese Maxey's looking like the number 2 scorer on this team again. Again, man. Quick decisions, driving to the rim, one-footed fadeaway in the paint. Oh, just an array of shots. Just what can you do? Sidestep 3s in the corner with the shot clock running down. Big shots. I don't know what else you can do. You double and triple Embiid. You're leaving Maxey wide open in the corner. He's going to kill you. Tobias Harris continues to perform. Game 2 of the playoffs. We got a good game from Tobias Harris for the second game in a row. 20 points from Tobias, 12 rebounds, 8 for 14 from the floor. The effort that I'm seeing from Tobias Harris, I'm loving. I'm loving the effort. I'm loving him fighting under the rim for the rebounds, for the offensive rebounds, for the second chance opportunities. I'm seeing a different fire. I'm seeing a different fire from Tobias Harris. in this playoff series. We'll see. We'll see if it continues, with the Boston Celtics series in the second round. But I'm seeing a different fire from Tobias Harris in this playoff series. I saw Tobias Harris, which, by the way, another terrible defensive play by the Nets. They triple team Joel Embiid at the top of the key. He kicks it to PJ Tucker in the corner. They try to rotate to Tucker. He kicks it to Tobias under the rim. He's wide open. But I saw Tobias Harris catch that ball with no dribble, no momentum, nothing, and just go straight up and dunk it with authority. And I haven't seen him do that this season. I've seen him blow so many layups like that because of a lack of aggression around the rim. So I don't know, man. I'm seeing a different level from Tobias Harris too. And look, maybe Tobias Harris knows. He's not an idiot. He knows what his contract is. Maybe he knows, listen, I'm probably getting traded this offseason. If we don't get out of the second round, I'm probably getting traded. It's going to be a cap situation for this team. They're not going to want to keep the last year of my contract. I might be getting traded. If he wants to work out where they trade him to, if you need other teams to be interested for that to be a possibility, maybe Tobias Harris is saying, I need to play my ass off in these playoffs to prove not only to this team, but to prove to the rest of the NBA that I'm worthy of another contract after this one, or, whatever, wherever they trade him. I still think he's going to get traded in the offseason. I just think it doesn't make sense contract-wise, especially if they lose in the second round. But Tobias has been playing great, man. I'm seeing a different fire from Tobias Harris. PJ Tucker had a bunch of offensive rebounds in this game. Again, he did put up a goose egg. He had 0 points. He was 0 for 4 from 3, but the hustle, the chasing down loose balls, the keeping plays alive, the second chance points has been awesome from PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris, everybody. So shout out to him. Shout out to him. Is Jacques Vaughn winning the complaining battle? Is Jacques Vaughn winning the complaining battle? Jacques Vaughn, after game one, you all know, he says, I hope the officials start calling travels in 3 seconds on Embiid. Even though, I don't even know what he's talking about as far as, what travels we're talking about or what 3-second calls he's talking about. I don't really know what he's talking about, but Embiid had this to say about Jacques Vaughn, which I thought was funny. Joel Embiid says, let me get here. Where are we at? Joel Embiid, I saw after the game last time, they kind of took the Nick Nurse route. He calls out Nick Nurse, who, if you remember, in that Toronto Raptors playoff series in 2019, 2020, I forget. No, it wasn't 2019. It was later than that. It was the reason I put out the Stop Bitching Joel Embiid t-shirt, because Nick Nurse was constantly crying about Joel and fouls and whatever else. And Joel said, no, Nick Nurse was complaining about the amount of free throws Joel was shooting in that series. And Joel straight up said, stop bitching. Stop. He said it to his face during the game. He looked right at Nick Nurse and said, quit bitching. You can't stop me. You just can't stop me. It is what it is. So Jacques Vaughn's trying to take the same route. Game one, he says, it'd be nice if they called some travels. And even though we lost by 20, I think, if they called some travels and some 3 seconds on Embiid, maybe no, bro, you're done. You're still going to lose. Stop it. So Embiid says, I saw after the game last time, they kind of took the Nick Nurse route of begging for free throws and calling out the referees. And they did come out and get a lot of calls, which is, I guess, good for them. So we did see a difference in officiating in this game versus game one. After Jacques Vaughn calls out NBA officials and says that they weren't calling the game fair, now all of a sudden, Joel Embiid, who averages 12 free throws per game in the regular season, finishes this game with 8 free throws, and he's being a lot more physical, going to the rim and playing in contact a lot more right now than he was in the regular season. So the free throw disparity there tells me that the referees are watching the contact happen and they're blatantly not calling it. I don't know why, though. You know, why is Joel Embiid a superstar who's not getting superstar treatment? Could it be what I said earlier? The Nets are trying to avoid, or the NBA is trying to avoid a sweep. That might be it. But if Jacques Vaughn is winning over the officials by complaining in press conferences, that's ridiculous, and that shouldn't happen in the NBA. Game 1, Joel gets smacked in the face. They review it. They call it a normal foul. It wasn't a normal foul. Game 2, Claxton just pushes Embiid on the floor from behind, stares at him. Not a basketball play whatsoever. They don't even review it for a flagrant. You know, it's getting pretty annoying. And I think Doc Rivers needs to start speaking up about it. Doc Rivers needs to start voicing his opinion in press con. If that's the game we're going to play, if this is the game we're going to play, you know, I got to complain about the officials in the press conference so that the NBA sees it and then tells the officials, hey, you know, look at the film of game 1 and see what maybe you did wrong, and then and then you're in their heads, and then they're calling the game different the next game. If that's the game we're going to play and this is how it works, then let's play the same game. So I think Doc Rivers needs to start getting up there and saying, hey, they're hacking my guy. They're hacking my guy. They're pushing my guy. They're grabbing the jersey. They're slapping. And he's not getting the calls. And he needs to sit up there and say, it's disrespectful for a player who's done as much as Joel Embiid does for this league, who is as much of a superstar in this league as he is. It's disrespectful for us to be at him to be out here getting tackled and getting no calls. Ridiculous, man. And then there's a moving screen that they didn't call. If you guys remember this play, Cam Johnson comes around the screen at the top of the key, drives on the right side of the key, kicks it to Mikal Bridges in the corner. James Harden is trying to rotate to Mikal Bridges. Cam Johnson legitimately takes out his defender and James Harden for a wide open 3 from Mikal Bridges. He didn't even set a screen. He just ran them both over like a fullback in a football game. And knocked them both out of bounds. I mean, it was insane. The whole crowd's like, what? Are you kidding me? No call. So Jacques Vaughn want to play this game? I think it's time for Doc Rivers to start playing this game too, man. That's what I think. Daniel Hilt, thank you for the super chat, my guy. Thanks for supporting the channel. Love how Doc took out Tucker for McDaniels at the end of the game. Actually, a good adjustment by Doc. Yeah, McDaniels has been playing well. McDaniels' perimeter defense in this game and the first game, and you know, anytime he really gets the opportunity, I think he's just, you know, I posted a clip here. Let me go to my Twitter page and put this on the screen, because I posted a clip of the Sixers perimeter defense in this game, and here it is. The bench lineup perimeter defense. This is Jalen McDaniels on the perimeter. This is Paul Reed on the perimeter. James Harden's over here. You got DeAnthony Melton up there. Who is that? Is that DeAnthony Melton? Yeah, it is. And they're just rotating and switching absolutely everything. And the Brooklyn Nets are in chains. I mean, Seth Curry can't get anywhere right here. Joe Johnson can't get anywhere. Back to Seth Curry, can't get anywhere. Back to Joe Johnson, can't get anywhere. I mean, that's the switchable defense that you want in the NBA, and that's what Jalen McDaniels brings you, especially on the perimeter. You know what I mean? So I like that too, that Doc said, hey, you know, we stand a better chance at guarding the perimeter with Jalen McDaniels on the floor in this situation than we do with PJ Tucker on the floor. And he went with Jalen McDaniels. And we didn't think Doc was going to do that. We didn't think Doc was going to play Paul Reed at all the backup center minutes. We didn't think Doc was going to play Jalen McDaniels where he should play him. So I got to say, at least right now, this coach who has made me want to bang my head off a wall for 2 postseasons in a row with his arrogant, kind of just stubborn decision making. He's been doing in the playoffs so far in these 2 games what I didn't think he would do. He's been doing the right thing, and the Sixers stand a chance against any team in the NBA if Doc Rivers keeps coaching like this. I said that. The Sixers stand a chance against any team in the NBA if Doc Rivers keeps coaching like this. We'll see if it continues. I hope it does. We'll see if it continues, man. Cam Johnson was great. 30 points, 28 points from Cam Johnson. We slowed down Mikal Bridges a little bit more than we did the first game. Double teams, taking the ball out of his hands, make somebody else beat you. That works with a team like the Brooklyn Nets. Doesn't work against Joel Embiid. Doesn't work when you're leaving Tyrese Maxey wide open. James Harden was not good in this game. He finished the game with 8 points. He was 3 for 13 from the floor. I don't know, man. Is anybody else nervous about James Harden's performance in this game? Because I know what you guys were saying in the playback stream, which, by the way, we set a new record once again on PlaybackTV, playback.tv/runitbackphilly. Come in there, watch the games with us. Harden is unpredictable right now. You might get what you got in the first game, which is the James Harden we need, which is the James Harden Joel Embiid needs, which is a point guard who can make a team pay from the perimeter when they double and triple Joel, when they put all their attention on Joel. A point guard that can make them pay from the perimeter is what we need. And I know what a lot of you guys were saying in the playback stream. If we play like this the first half against the Boston Celtics, we're done. But I was the one being optimistic. I was the one being optimistic. I think James Harden is unpredictable right now. And that does make me a little bit nervous because I don't know what he's going to look like against the Celtics. I hope we get the best version of him. We got the best version of him in game 1 of this series. We didn't get the best version of him in the second game of this series. But I was the one being optimistic. We were down by 10 in the first half. We were down by 5 at halftime. And there was people in the stream acting like we were down by 30. And they were saying this. They were saying, if the Sixers play like this against the Celtics, we're done. But I want to remind you that the Celtics are not perfect either. The Boston Celtics have blown lots of 20-plus point leads throughout this regular season this year. The Boston Celtics lost to the Orlando Magic 3 times in this regular season this year. NBA teams aren't perfect. Teams don't just blow out teams 4 games in a row and look absolutely perfect. Maybe the 2017 Golden State Warriors, you add prime Kevin Durant to prime Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and everybody. That's a different story. But for the most part, teams aren't perfect. They're going to have bad games. We're going to have bad games against the Celtics. I think we're going to push it to 7. I think it's going to come down to game 7. We're going to have bad games. They're going to have not so perfect games. And we're going to have to see if we can pull it out in a 7-game series. But to act like the Sixers playing a bad first half in the first round of the playoffs means that they're completely done and they don't stand a chance at all. It's ridiculous to me. I look at it this way. If the Sixers win the game that they played terribly in, if they played horribly in the first half of this game and they still won the game, that tells me that they can still squeak out wins even when they stumble in a first half of a game. Would Boston maybe have built a lead on us when we play like this in the first half against them? Probably. And maybe we lose this game if it's the Boston Celtics. But the Nets, no. We can play bad against the Nets a first half. We can get it together in the second half. And we can still win because the Brooklyn Nets don't have enough. I think this is going to be a sweep Even with the Sixers stumbling here and there, a first half here, maybe a third quarter somewhere, it's still going to be a sweep because the Nets are that bad. I think if we play like this against the Boston Celtics, it's going to 7. We're going to stumble some games. We're going to lose some games. Boston's going to stumble some games. It's going to be interesting. But the Nets don't have a shot, bro. They don't have a shot. Q, you don't believe? We all know Boston's going to steal a game in Philly. The question is, do we have it in us to beat them in Boston? I got to look at the one regular season game. You know, there was a couple regular season games that we played very bad against the Boston Celtics, especially the one where, you know, we lost when they were missing 4 starters. They beat us with Sam Hauser and Derek White, and Blake Griffin hit 8 3-pointers, and the effort was pathetic. But I got to look at the other game. The one where both teams were fully healthy. We went down to the wire, and Jason Tatum hit a step-back 3-pointer at the buzzer to win the game. That gave me hope. I guess you could look at it either way. We played the best game we could possibly play in that game, and we still lost. But Tyrese Maxey was coming off the bench in that game. That wasn't this Sixers team entirely. That was still Tyrese Maxey coming off of an injury. Look what Tyrese Maxey's doing right now against the Brooklyn Nets. That gives us a little more firepower, him being where he's at. I think we can steal one in Boston. I do. And I think it's going to be a 7-game series. I just don't think a bad first half against the Brooklyn Nets should tell us that, you know, we're not gonna stand a chance against Boston. Doc Rivers needs to continue what he's doing right now. If he continues what he's doing right now with the lineups, I think we stand a chance against anybody. Now, if we get into the Boston Celtics series and Doc Rivers panics or tries to overcoach, tries to get super creative and say things like, well, they got size, they got too many big guys, and all of a sudden he does what he did in last year's playoffs, which is like, we're going to go with DeAndre Jordan because they have size, which I don't understand because Paul Reed at 6'9" was still way better at defending the rim, rebounding the ball, everything you could, every category that you need in a backup center. So if Doc says, if Paul gets maybe scored on a couple times or something and Doc panics and puts Dwayne Dedman in at center, then we're done. But if he stays doing what he's doing right now, I think we have a shot at anybody. I think we can steal a game in Boston. Maybe I'm being optimistic because we're smacking around the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe it's distorting my view a little bit. Maybe it's making me a little overly optimistic. We'll see. We'll see, man. We actually have to guard Al and realize he's a good 3-point shooter if you leave him open. Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a real good point. I remember that game where Blake Griffin hit 8 3-pointers, and it was because our strategy in that game was basically what Jacques Vaughn's strategy is right now with Joel Embiid. We were just forcing doubles on Jason Tatum, making him get rid of the ball, especially when Jaylen Brown was out of the game. You know what I mean? We were doubling Jason Tatum around screens. We were really forcing him to get rid of the ball, and the other players made us pay. And Blake Griffin in his post-game press conference that game even, kind of slandered Doc Rivers by saying, they didn't adjust, and that's been a known thing with that coach. Or I don't remember if he said his name or not, but Blake was hitting threes in the first quarter, and we didn't adjust at all. We kept doing the same thing, and they kept making threes. So we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see what the game plan is early. I don't think you can double, triple, face up Jason Tatum because the Boston Celtics have a lot of other players that can beat you. The same thing works with the Sixers and Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, James Harden, DeAnthony Melton making threes. Same thing that way. You can't double and triple Joel Embiid the whole series. He's going to make other players beat you. He's going to make other players beat you. You know what I mean? That's how I see it, man. That's how I see it. There was another Joel Embiid quote I wanted to get, man. Where is it at? Where is it at? Here's Joel Embiid's quote on him passing the ball. People think I just love scoring, which I don't think is true. I enjoy winning and doing whatever it takes to win. Some nights I have to shoot a lot and score a lot. Some nights I'm going to get double teamed and have to make the passes. I believe in playing the... Is there more to this tweet or nah? I believe in playing the right way. I like that. I don't know. Some haters are posting in the replies here. Yeah. Too many haters on Twitter. They don't even know what they're talking about, man. But I like that quote from Joel. And there he is calling out Jock Vaughn again, calling him Nick Nurse. This is a stat line that is a down game for Joel Embiid. This is a stat line that is a down game for Joel Embiid right here. 20 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks, 69% true shooting percentage, and a plus 14. And a down scoring game, and all of a sudden he has a Nikola Jokic stat line. And the Nikola Jokic fans would post this stat line, and they would say things like, greatest player of all time underneath of it. Even if he didn't have 20, if he had 12, 19, and 9 assists, they would say things like that. So a down game for Joel Embiid is still a phenomenal game. The box score watchers are going to love this game from Joel Embiid. 20 points, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks. Didn't have it going offensively. Impacted the game in every single other aspect. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2023 MVP. Tyrese Maxey tonight. 33 points on 56% shooting. 6 made three-pointers. Tobias Harris, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists. 57% from the field. Joel Embiid, 2019 and 7. This series is over. And there it is. That's exactly what I just said. Embiid's bad game is a prime Jokic game. That's exactly what I mean, man. That's exactly what I mean. Let's see what else is going on here, man. Let's just type in Sixers. We're going to go down the Sixers timeline, and then I want to talk about this Draymond Green thing from last night. Tobias Harris says the Sixers' body language changed after Doc Rivers called a timeout into the second half. It's playoffs. We need to pick our energy up. Yeah, I remember that. Doc Rivers, first of all, he gave this little pep talk at halftime that was like, come on, guys, come on. Come on, guys, come on. He just said, come on, like 50 times. And I don't know, it worked. But then, yeah, we started the second half. I thought the officials missed a big call on one side. I think maybe that was the one where I thought Joel got kind of tackled. It looked like a rugby game. And the Nets hit a 3. Doc Rivers called a timeout. And people were in the chat like, why are we calling a timeout 1 minute into the second half? But shouts out to Doc Rivers. He didn't like the energy that he saw in the first possession when they came out in the second half. And he called a timeout. And he screamed at the team for their lack of energy. And Tobias Harris said, it's the playoffs. We need to pick our energy up. I think this is kind of funny, though, too, that he said it's the playoffs. We need to pick our energy up, which is flat out admitting that, I don't play with a whole lot of energy in the regular season. I don't play with a whole lot of energy in the regular season, which is why Tobias Harris finishes games with, 3 rebounds in 40 minutes, and he's 6'8". But it's also why you're seeing Tobias Harris finish these playoff games with 11 rebounds and grabbing offensive boards and getting second chance points and finishing around the rim stronger with more aggression. So there's Tobias Harris completely admitting that he doesn't care about the regular season. But, it is what it is. We're here. It's the playoffs. At least we're getting this version of Tobias Harris so far in these playoffs. Tyrese Maxey tied James Harden for 9th on Sixers all-time 3-point list with 35. Why am I reading a Keith Pompey tweet, bro? I should have known how hard this would be to read. Tyrese Maxey tied James Harden for 9th on the Sixers all-time three-point list with 35. Does that mean 35 threes? What does that mean? He's 35th? Is that what he means? Nobody in the replies seems to know what it means. Keith, you need an assistant. Is there more to this? Is that a pregame shoot-around stat? Huh? I don't know. Shout out to Keith Pompey for continuing to confuse everybody with his tweets. Tyrese Maxey tied James Harden for 9th on the Sixers all-time three-point list with 35. I don't know. Let's talk about this. The Golden State Warriors are down 0-2 to the Kings. And I was picking the Kings to beat them in this series. And people are now photoshopping Draymond Green, and somebody said he posted a game 2 breakdown before the game was even over. That's funny. I don't know. He didn't really post a game 2 breakdown, did he? Anyway, I kind of clowned Draymond Green yesterday because he posted a podcast episode after losing an NBA playoff game. It's just weird to me that these players want to have podcasts while they're playing games now. It's odd. Does everybody really care that much? I think Draymond's, feeding his ego a little bit with the podcast thing. He's like, everyone cares what I think. I got to go do a podcast episode. Why do NBA players want to do this? I'm doing this because I can't play in the NBA. Why do where's the clip of him stomping on? Okay. Here's what so anyway, for those who don't know, Domantas Sabonis landed on the floor in a play in the fourth quarter between the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. It was a 4-point game, and Draymond Green decided in a 4-point game in the second game of the first round of the NBA playoffs that he was going to Incredible Hulk stomp Domantas Sabonis while he laid on the ground. And where's the video? If you watch the game, Curry got undercut every shot. Okay, I don't know. But anyway, Sabonis grabbed his leg a little bit when he fell over, and Draymond retaliated by stomping on his rib cage, and he got ejected from the game. I've been so tired of Draymond Green for years. Remember years ago when he was getting suspended for kicking players in the nuts? What is he doing? This guy, you know what? I think Draymond Green is the new Dennis Rodman. I think Draymond Green is the new Dennis Rodman. His level of psychosis is good for a basketball team to a certain extent. You like that energy. You love that killer instinct. You love the guy that's going to chase down every loose ball, dive out of bounds. You love the guy that's going to be active, the glue guy that's going to give you 110% every possession. But his psychosis goes too far. Dennis Rodman kicks a cameraman, gets suspended and fined for kicking a cameraman. Dennis Rodman, after he retires, marries himself. I don't know. He did all kinds of wild shit. You're going to start seeing that from Draymond Green. Things like this are Draymond Green's psychosis affecting his team. He knocked out Jordan Poole in a practice. What kind of psychopath walks up to their own teammate and just sucker punches him square in the face and knocks him against the wall? Insanity. He has a short fuse, and he does shit like this. And these are not even close to like, it's not like he squared up and threw a punch. These are cheap shots. These are dirty plays. It's like when he was swinging his legs and kicking players in the man region a couple of years ago. Who does this? Things like this, and the fact that Draymond Green thinks that after a game one, I need to go to my hotel room and film a podcast episode to tell everyone what it literally said. Game one breakdown. Bro, we got an NBA player giving a game one breakdown after a playoff loss because he thinks everybody needs to hear his opinion that much. This guy's insane. Should he be suspended for this? I think he should. I think you can't allow this in the NBA. Shaq says one bad play begets another bad play. I'm not going to sit up here and be a hypocrite. I'd do the same thing. I really would. Don't be grabbing me because what am I going to do if I stay there and just try to run forward? I'll fall. You got to get. Okay, he got his leg free, but then he stomped on him. Shaq, what? Come on, Shaq. Shaq thinks Joel Embiid doesn't get play the post enough, but then he thinks it's okay for Draymond Green to curb stomp people. But the Golden State Warriors are down 0-2, man, in the first round of the NBA playoffs. And, you know, they were such a good team for a long time. But players get older. Players start to get injured. The Golden State Warriors have experienced some injuries now over the past couple of years. Steph Curry's 34 years old. Draymond Green's older. Is the Warriors' NBA dominance finally over? I was saying if the Warriors are healthy, they can beat anybody. Never count out the Golden State Warriors. If they're healthy, they still have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins. But I think it's on its way out, you know? And you got to credit the Golden State Warriors for the way that they built that team and for how they dominated the NBA for the 5-6 years that they dominated the NBA. But it's finally over. It made for, especially when they added Kevin Durant to the greatest team of all time already, it made the NBA boring for a couple of years. Nobody cared about the regular season. Nobody even really cared about the first couple rounds of the playoffs because everybody knew it was going to be LeBron versus the Warriors again. It wasn't good for the league as a product. And now the Warriors are on a decline. They're not dominating the NBA anymore. A lot of other teams have come up. A lot of young players have emerged as stars. And the NBA has incredible parity right now. Nobody can say for certain who's going to win the NBA championship like you could for those couple of years. The NBA right now is the best it's been since the 90s, early 2000s. The NBA is the best it's been right now since the early 2000s. It's a lot of fun. Every playoff series is fun. There's competition everywhere. And I'm rooting for the Kings. Who we got tonight, man? What are we going to watch on Playback TV tonight, man? We're going to watch the Boston Celtics, Atlanta Hawks. Can they do us a favor? Can the Boston Celtics do us? Can the Atlanta Hawks do us a favor and maybe compete? Maybe put up a little bit of a fight here. And they were down by 30 in the first half in game one. I don't really have any faith that the Atlanta Hawks can steal a game from the Boston Celtics. I don't think the Brooklyn Nets can steal a game from the Sixers. I wish the Hawks could steal a game or two from the Celtics, you know, wearing them down a little bit and letting the Sixers get rest after a 4-game sweep of the Nets. I wish they could. But the Atlanta Hawks can't do that. I'm going to stream the game in the playback room tonight at 7 o'clock, playback.tv/runitbackphilly. If they're down by 30 in the first half, I'm going to turn the game off. Actually, if they're down by 30 in the first half, we'll switch over to Knicks Cavaliers because that's going to be a great one. Knicks Cavaliers is fun. So we'll start with the Celtics Hawks game. If it's as non-competitive as I expect it to be, we'll move right on to the Knicks Cavaliers game at 7:30. Be there. Playback PlaybackTV/RunItBackPhilly. Thank you all for being a part of it. What else we got, man? You guys got any questions, comments, hot takes in the chat? Anything about the Sixers, anything about the NBA, anything about anything? Throw it in the chat. Let's do it. Sean Ford, I'll tell you what, I'd watch the Hawks-Celtics game before that defensive grind between the Knicks and Cavs. What? You would rather watch a 30-point blowout than a battle? What kind of competitive nature is that? That doesn't even make any sense. I fell asleep watching that Celtics game. Why would you not want to watch a defensive battle between the Knicks and the Cavs? I don't understand you. Hawks could have a game where everything falls and steal one. I hope so. The Celtics have the luck of the Irish. Nah. I don't believe in that. The Hawks at least make it interesting. How did they make it interesting? They were down by 30 in the first half, bro. What are you talking about? There was nothing interesting about that. I don't understand. But thanks for the comments. Think the Bucks could go down 0-2 to the Heat? No, I don't think so, man. Nick, what's up, my guy? No, I don't think so, because Giannis is coming back. He has a bruised tailbone or whatever, unless they've announced that he's not coming back. But he's coming back. Tyler Hero is not coming back. Tyler Hero broke his hand. I have no faith in the Miami Heat. I think Kyle Lowry is a shell of himself. I don't think Jimmy Butler can do it all by himself like he did when he drug that team to the finals in the bubble. I don't think the Miami Heat have enough. I don't think the Bucks have been playing their best game. Drew Holiday hasn't been great. I think the Bucks are about to start playing their best games here coming up. And with Giannis back, maybe if Giannis stops trying to dunk on the whole team and injuring himself, I don't think the Heat are going to put them in a 0-2 hole. Would you rather have Trae Young or Dame to replace Harden? Ant C, my guy, coming in with the fire. Would you rather have Trae Young or Dame to replace James Harden? So, assuming James Harden walks this offseason, which I don't think he's going to, because this team clearly is giving him the best shot at an NBA championship that he's had in his career. And I think no matter what happens with the Sixers this season, whether they get through the second round or they don't, I think it's in James Harden's best interest and everybody's best interest for him to opt into his player option and play for another year under the Sixers. I don't know if they extend him, whatever it is. I'm not sure, but I don't think James Harden's going to leave. But if he would I rather have Damian Lillard or Trae Young to replace him? I think the obvious answer off the top is Damian Lillard because he's a much better shooter. He's a much better all-around scorer. He might be a little bit better of a defender than Trae Young, but probably not really a even average NBA defender. So I think Trae Young loses the scoring on Dame. I'd rather have Dame for the scoring. We'll say their defense is equal. Trae Young, I think, is a better facilitator. Trae Young, I think, is a better lob thrower. Trae Young would be great in like some Paul Reed lineups, Jalen McDaniels lineups. But with Joel Embiid being your main option and not really being much of a lob threat, not really being much of a rim running center, being more of a float around the paint, pick and pop, mid-range pick and pop type of player. And your job is to really get Joel Embiid the ball in the spots that he likes it. And then your job is to score and knock down shots when teams throw the house at Joel. So, yeah, I think the answer is Dame because I don't think Joel and Trae Young really make sense together. And I think Look, Harden played terrible yesterday. And if I love James Harden's facilitating ability, I think I might still take James Harden over Dame right now because I think he fits better with Joel being the facilitator that he is and the pick and roll maestro that he is. But if James leaves and you could have Damian Lillard standing out there while Joel Embiid is getting attacked, I think that is a championship roster. I think you would be a favorite to win a title if you had Joel Embiid and Damian Lillard and Tyrese Maxey, unless you would have to trade Maxey for Dame, which I don't like. I would probably. Would you guys, if the Portland Trailblazers would announce, hey, look, we're trying to trade Damian Lillard, throw your best package out there, would you guys trade Tyrese Maxey in a package for Damian Lillard right now? That's another one that's tough for me. I was saying no to that. I would say no to that. I was saying no to the Kevin Durant one a little while ago. I was saying no because I don't want to give up on Maxey because I think Maxey has a potential to be an NBA star and he's going to be one for 10 years. So if this process is a failure, if this process ends up not working and we move on from everyone, you still have Tyrese Maxey to build your team around for the next 10 years. If you trade him right now for a win now situation and it doesn't work, what do you have after that? That's why I don't want to do it. I understand if you get Kevin Durant on this team, it's an automatic ring. If you get Damian Lillard on this team, it's an automatic ring. But if you don't get the ring, you're back in purgatory for 10 years again. I don't want to do that. And I'm one of those guys. I like that. I like the homegrown talent, man. I like drafting a player. I like him developing. I like him coming up the ranks. I like that player that's been with the squad for 4, 5, 6, 7 years to finally become that NBA superstar and finally take a team to the promised land more than just going and getting someone who's already a superstar who was on other NBA teams for 14 years. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have enjoyed rooting for Kevin Durant in a Sixers jersey. I'm glad it didn't happen. I didn't want that to happen. I don't know about Dame, but I struggle with that, man. I struggle with that because if you don't win and Maxey takes another team to the promised land 5 years from now, then you're sitting there saying, we made another gigantic mistake and add it to the list. Add it to the list. Joe Frisco, thanks for the super chat. $10 super chat from my guy, Joe Frisco. Last week I would trade Maxey, but I just got his jersey, so he's got to stay a little longer. Shout out to the Tyrese Maxey jersey. You made a good decision with that one. I don't know why you would have traded him last week, though. For who? I wouldn't have traded him last week. I wouldn't have traded him. I was on board with Donovan Mitchell last offseason because Donovan Mitchell's 26. That's the only reason I was on board with that. I can't get down with the 33, 34-year-old player. I can't get down with that. It's too close to the end of a player's career. That's why I think this Phoenix Suns trade for Kevin Durant isn't going to be pretty. Look at Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges right now. And Kevin Durant's 34 years old. Injury here, injury there. Guy sprains his ankle in his first warm-up before his first game as a Phoenix Sun. Come on, man. And if that doesn't work, you just gave up two prospects that are going to go on to possibly be NBA stars, and you got nothing out of it. I don't know, man. Maybe teams need to stop cutting corners. Look at the Clippers. They traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and 5 first-round picks for Paul George, and the guy cannot stay healthy. And Shai goes on to be on MVP lists already. in Oklahoma City. If the Clippers had SGA right now, they'd be a lot better, and they would have the 5 first-round picks they gave up. These NBA teams go crazy with trying to cut corners and trying to build super teams so fast, man. I don't know. What if Mikal Bridges was still a Sixer? If Mikal Bridges was still a Sixer, the Sixers would be a powerhouse. The Sixers would be... I mean, if you had Mikal Bridges instead of Tobias Harris, the Sixers are a powerhouse. But it is what it is. You can't go back in time. You can't go back in time. Maxi's development as a player has saved this Sixers franchise. I agree with that, Kane. I agree with that. The Suns are super desperate. They want just one. The team is insanely frustrating to be a fan of. Rick, you a fan of the Phoenix Suns, man? That is frustrating. Would you trade Maxey for Luka? Absolutely not. I would not. I would not trade Maxey for Luka. And here's why. Here's why. I think Luka Doncic plays a too slow, too methodical half-court game. I think it equals nice stats. It equals nice stat lines. You know, it equals 50-point triple-doubles. Where's it gotten them so far? Where's it gotten them so far? You know what I mean? And this. Luka Doncic was a professional at 16 years old. Luka Doncic was incredible at the game of basketball at a very young age. I think Luka Doncic needs to rework what he's thinking. I think he needs to rework his attitude and his work ethic. Because so far in the NBA, Luka Doncic, every single year, is gaining weight. And I was just watching a random clip on YouTube as the highlights went to a different highlight, and it was a Luka Doncic interview after a game where he said, "That was a crazy one. I need a post-game beer." This guy, he's made it on natural talent for a long time. He's getting bigger and slower every season. The first thing he thinks of after a crazy game is drinking a beer. Hell no. Hell no, I'm not trading a guy like Tyrese Maxey who thinks about working on his game every single day versus a guy who the first thing he thinks of after a game is drinking a beer. No thanks. Not because Luka's not amazing right now. I think if Luka Doncic doesn't change the way that he thinks about his future in the NBA, he could have a decline sooner than later. So no, I wouldn't trade Maxey for Luka. Luka got a bodysuit like James in his closet. He wants out of there. He might want out of there. I mean, he probably does want out of there. They haven't put a very good team around him. Getting rid of Jalen Brunson was a disaster so far. Maybe he's just saying, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to try anymore. But I don't know. I think Luka has that very chill attitude, and he's been great for so long. He's been great his whole life. I mean, imagine being great enough at 16 years old to play professionally. So he probably kind of needs to check himself a little bit. He probably has this little bit of a I'm this good attitude. And if all you do in the offseason is smoke hookah and drink beer, you need to rework what you're thinking. Anyway, I've been up here for an hour and 20 minutes almost. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Run It Back Philly. Tune in tomorrow. Again, 11 a.m. We're right here, 11 a.m. again tomorrow. Tune in. Join the playback stream, playback.tv/runitbackphilly. Join us tonight. We're going to watch some NBA games. It's going to be fun. Thanks for the participation in the chat. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm out of here. Bad take about the beer comment. Why is that a bad take? Why is that a bad take? You think beer is good for NBA players? You think an NBA player thinking about a beer after the game is a good thing? An NBA player who's just every year looks slower and heavier? Come on, man. MJ had stacked Heineken in the locker room. Yeah, well, Luka Doncic is not Michael Jordan. Luka Doncic is not Michael Jordan.